Welcome back to All of the Above with myself, Emma Kyo. This week I have a really important man because he was a big part of my journey, especially along the wellness. And sitting with it now, we're going to have so much to talk about. He is co-founder of the Blissful Breath Academy. He is an author of two amazing books, which is The Power of Cold and The Blissful Breath. Also, he is a wellness expert for over 24 years. It is the amazing Niall O'Murchu.
Thank you very much for a great intro.
Of course, you're a big deal.
In small places.
No. Because I think when you're in this industry as well, I think we can kind of make ourselves a little bit smaller than what we are, because you've done this for years now. And why I actually have you on was you actually were a big part of my journey. When did I done the breathwork facilitator training with you? How many years ago was that?
Was it 2023?
Yeah, nearly 3 years.
Yeah.
Now, I haven't seen you since then, and it literally felt, I walked in, I was like, hey.
Yes, just the same.
Yeah, but you're such a nice guy, though. You're just real easygoing. Like you and Josie are just like, hey. You just float in on the cloud. Welcome. And I remember at the time when I actually done courses myself, they kind of found me. I never really went, I need to do this. I need to do this. Something had come up and I just says, I feel I need to do breathwork training because I would suffer with anxiety. And some people don't think that. Since I'm an energetic person, but I am balanced, I would have masked an awful lot. So even going into breathwork as well, it really did help me. And I was only talking to you off air this morning saying I had a cup of cacao this morning. I felt really nervous or anxious, but that's normal. I get that because I'm going to be talking on a pod. And I just said to you, I just shook my hands, patted my chest and was like, you're safe. It's grand. Let it go. It's fine.
So the children are now teenagers. So oftentimes in the mornings, it can be high emotion, getting everyone up to go to school. But even like you're saying, simple practices like getting them to shake the body. They don't want to do it. But shaking and moving the body, or just very simple things like that, changes the mood completely. Because, they're uncertain, they're teenagers, they don't want to go to school, all those things.
How old are they?
17, 15, and the girls are about to turn 13, identical twin girls.
Oh my God.
So
Blaze is 17.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember he used to come and help
know.
you.
You wouldn't, honestly, you wouldn't recognize him now.
Really?
He's a giant of a young fella. But these, as you were saying, preparing coming here, these very simple tools are priceless.
Yeah. And even like, obviously I was looking into your journey, like you're such an easygoing guy. Like you're so easygoing. But you're in this industry years now, and you've done Reiki, you've done shamanic healing, you've done I keep on saying herbology like Harry Potter, herbalist.
I'll take that.
Wingardium Leviosa. So starting back to when you first started as well, what made you get into that, or did you grow up around that?
Both.
Okay.
So I was very lucky that my parents were very open-minded. They're kind of like old hippies in a way.
I knew they were. I just knew they were, because you literally just...
So like there's a photograph of my mom, like before my mom and dad are married, and she's in like yoga gear, in their house in Drimna in 1960s, and like as they're getting older now and our children are kind of growing up, we asked them about when they were younger, because we want to remember, because everyone's not around for ever. So they tell us about the times that they hitchhiked all around Europe, or they got a camper van and drove to Africa. So I grew up in that kind of environment where things were very open. There was yoga, there was dad doing Tai Chi, mom was very open to all this stuff before it was mainstream. She would make us all the food. She would make us crisps, and of course you rebel against that. I remember
you were drinking kombucha before it was cool.
Yeah. And I remember, like, I played basketball for Ireland, and that was really my thing. And mom would get me to visualize. She'd like say, use your third eye to visualize again. And of course, you rebel against that.
Did you think you were like, Mom, stop?
But then my coach for Ireland was very much ahead of his time, very much ahead of sports science, and he had us mentally rehearse the games. And that was the advantage I felt I had over everyone, because I kind of was maybe more open to that. So I used to do the visualizations, and when I got in the court for Ireland, it seemed comfortable and easy. while like at international level, it's not. But because I'd done the visualization, so that was always in the background. And in my mind, I had wanted to be a professional basketball player, and that was kind of bringing me on a very, very kind of distinct path. But I was in America. I played a season of high school basketball in America, and things were kind of changing in my mind. I knew basketball was just a game, and these huge questions were in my mind as an 18-year-old. Like, who am I? Who am I really? What is this experience? And at the time I was thinking, I was questioning everything, like what is God? What is religion? All those things. And I remember waking up one morning in America, in Columbus, Ohio, in a suburb, just think about like the typical American place, and that's where this was. And I remember opening the window in my room. A family were hosting me for the season, and there was a beautiful kind of spring smell in the air. The air was warm, and I remember thinking to myself, the whole continent of America is spread out there in front of me, and I have to go into this basketball court in this sports hall and spend hours and hours and hours there. And it was the beginning of really me wanting to go on this adventure to try and find the answers to these big questions. And maybe that was because I was brought up in with that openness, but I left basketball behind, and that kind of shocked a lot of people.
So you were only 18 when you started to get in this curiosity for life.
Yeah, but my dad always jokes that I was kind of odd child. When Josie and I were getting married, in his wedding speech, he was saying that in America, like, we emigrated to America when I was 10. So we lived for 3 years there when I was really young.
Okay.
And maybe that opened my mind up to lots of things. We went from mid-80s Dublin, which was kind of like a grim...
The recession and everything.
Yeah, there wasn't an opportunity to like proper America, But Dad kind of told this joke that I was sitting at the kitchen table in America at 10 years old, eating my kind of Rice Krispies, and he said to me, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And I was saying to him, "I'm just thinking where my future wife is right now."
At 10.
At 10. So I was always kind of thinking about the time and space, and kind of that was just how my mind worked.
It's
even
because
at that age.
you were brought up around that, but I think that's so powerful. I do think children are like literally starting to go there now, but which is great because you were already starting to get curious about, what does that look like? Am I in charge of what this is? Can I create my own reality?
Yeah.
What are these practices that are happening for me? Like, where before you were like, oh, get away.
Yeah, and I think my experience on the basketball court proved to me lots of these things work. So the visualization proved to me that by walking through the experience in our mind before it happens and feeling it, that was the important
bit. The feeling
bit.
and the knowing.
So I'd be lying in bed before, like a week before we'd play England, for example. And I would imagine we arrive in the stadium in Tala, the big basketball stadium, and I'd be walking through it. And I'd actually be sweating in the bed because, when you put your mind to it, our bodies are so objective. They don't care if it's a thought or if it's the experience. It just reacts to it. So I'd be kind of lying in bed, going through the game, and my body thought it was in the game. Sweating, literally sweating, like sweaty hands, and so I had kind of by accident proven to myself that a practice like visualization works, and other practices like how do you deal with the pressure. And I saw my teammates as well, everyone kind of dealing with it in different ways. The pressure of walking out onto the court for Ireland, and this is back in the day, so there wasn't like thousands of people, but there was hundreds of people watching. Plus, you're representing your country and all your people.
Like being exposed.
Just like you're walking out. And the other team, they are also there. And it's basketball, so it's not martial arts or anything. But you're trying to kill each other. That's the level of competition. You want to beat England or Scotland or Estonia with every fibre in your body. And they want to beat you too. So in those kind of moments of high pressure, I also kind of proved to myself by accident that how we breathe has a massive effect on how we feel. Because I had asthma and I was always aware of my breathing, not for the right reasons. I had a strange relationship with breathing. So I would be very aware in those situations. I was listening to my breathing because I was afraid that the asthma would kick in.
Mm-hmm.
But it made me aware of my breathing and made me kind of aware that if the asthma was going to kick in, the breathing became panicked and everything. But if I slowed the breathing down, the asthma didn't kick in and I was calm. And then the performance was better. So really strangely, my experience as a teenager on the court for Ireland, for example, was kind of laying the foundation of proving to me that breathing, visualization, things like that really worked because I could feel it. It helped me on the court.
Yeah.
So I probably had less resistance then when I started looking for these answers to these big questions. I didn't have as much resistance to it because I'd kind of already experienced it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that kind of led, you said earlier, curious. The curiosity, I think, is the most important part.
Yeah, because I think a big thing when it comes to, let's say, setting up your own business or changing careers or going into a career at the time, 20 something years ago, doing a breathwork teacher, people were like, what are you on, right? But I do think the wellness industry, it is getting a bit saturated now. I'm not going to lie. But regardless of that, I always say, because I'm a life coach as well, we always use the word fear. On the other side of fear is love. But instead, I always say to people, lean into fear. It's not scary, and relabel it as curious.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I'm afraid because I'm curious. Yeah. We don't know that feeling. Do we want that feeling? And it's relabeling it in our heads of saying, Jesus, I know I'm scared, but it's because I'm curious. I've never done it before.
Yeah. And that's a great way to shift how we feel about it. So for our teenagers, we're very strict with technology and all that kind of stuff with them, because Josie and I made a commitment when they were born that we wanted to get them to adulthood, which they're very close to being, with their curiosity intact, with their imagination intact, with their desire for knowledge intact, and their attention span
and question things.
So that, so they're often kind of given out because their access to technology is very different to their friends. But we always say, look, we want to get you to a place where that curiosity is still there. Then you can do what you like.
They haven't been brainwashed.
They're just open, and they're, as you said, questioning. And that's a great way to look at fear, because really it's the uncertainty that we're frightened of.
Yeah, that's it. It's the fears, uncertainty. Don't get me wrong. I have a lot of things in my life, and you probably know, being self-employed with Josie as well. Yeah, I'm scared shitless. But at the same time, you do get a bit of a thrill off it, knowing you're leading your purpose. You're curious in life. But you're able to question your own life because you're in charge of you.
Yeah.
And that's probably like your children as well. They're in charge of themselves.
Yeah.
Not kind of the external source.
Yeah, absolutely. So and then they can make their decisions themselves then. But when you're saying about, say, the wellness industry, it's fascinating. For, say, my mom, she did shamanic healing, all those things years and years and years and years ago. So I was just talking to her yesterday.
This would have been, was it the 70s, 60s?
Yeah. So I remember I was talking to her yesterday.
Go on, tell me about that, because then we can go into what shamanic healing is for people. So you tell me your story.
So, and we were talking about, so Bridget's Day, Lala Vrida, is a national holiday now. And Mum was saying that is unbelievable to her, that we are celebrating this goddess who is all about the return of the light, the return of spring, all those types of things. And for my mom now, who's older, to see that Ireland and the wellness industry is part of that change, that openness is really fascinating. She feels like she has done her little tiny bit with loads of other people to get it to a point where it was very much on, like, for years, it was very much over here. Irish society was over here. And I never really felt part of our Irish culture, really.
Did you feel like on the outskirts?
On the side, because my interests were different. And now I feel that Irish culture has moved all the way to here.
You're part of it.
So, like, people, now it's not a big thing to jump into the sea. Now it's not a big thing to do some meditation or yoga.
You're not a weirdo.
You're not a weirdo. It used to be,
You
and
were a
not that
weirdo.
long ago.
No, but I'm talking, you were considered weird just before pre-COVID. Like
Yeah.
I'm getting Reiki done 15 years. I'm getting Reiki done. And people are like, what is that? But I nearly loved it because she was a kinesiologist and she's
Yeah.
like a holistic coach, and she used to do like all my meridians and auric fields.
Beautiful.
Now I used to say that and people are like, you what?
Yeah.
Or I'm like,
Yeah.
but she really helped me.
Yeah.
Really, really helped me be the person I am today. And honestly, it's better than therapy. I've been to a few therapists, and going down the holistic route, the slower pace, and then using different forms of, energy healing, calm,
Yeah.
not being judged, has been a big part of getting to me where I am today.
Yeah. And I think the way you describe it there is really good. It's nearly like we have this menu of practices,
Mm-hmm.
and for each person, it's a different mix.
Mm-hmm.
So for some people, it might be some of this, less of this.
Yeah.
But there's so many great ways of practicing things that make us feel better. And it's unique to everyone, though.
Yeah. And I would have struggled with that. So for context, you probably don't know my story, but years ago, about 6 years ago, I went through like I've said this to people, like, listen, really through like bad breakup. Ex had to sell my house, got made redundant. Loads of things happened in my life. And then obviously went through grief. But it's mad. At the start of that journey, it's all about what we should be doing. Okay. So I done all the shoulds where, listen to the podcast, started going to therapy, took up new courses, done it all. Where now I'm at a place, even though I've done all the courses, the last year or two, I call it my integration phase. So I've done all the work now, and now it's not about the doing, it's about the being. Where I'm like, I can't do any more courses. I just want to figure out who Emma is, bring balance in, have fun, and integrate. Right, do I want to do a bit of breath work today?
Yep.
Where I feel I should be doing every morning, I need to meditate, do breath work, drink a cow. Girl, do you?
7 hours of practices.
Yeah, no, like I could wake up and have a cup of tea and read a few pages. The next morning I say, right, I just want to shake and have a cup of cacao.
Yeah.
It's finding what works well for you and not putting pressure on yourself. Because I do feel the wellness industry, and especially because I'm on social media, so are
Yeah.
you, it has to be like 10 things you need to do every day. Show up as yourself, tongue scrape, coconut pull, biohack, cacao drinking, jump in the sea. You've spent 5 hours working on yourself.
Yeah, I know. I think that's a very good point. I think really at the core of all the practices is this movement towards balance.
That's what I've been working on the last few years.
I think it's for everybody, and I think
I agree.
And we know biologically that the human body is always trying to move towards homeostasis, this point where it's balanced, where it's able to heal itself. So we're actually built to look for balance. Our body is always looking for balance. That's why someone might feel very overwhelmed or not themselves. They jump into the sea, they get out, and they feel amazing because their hormones have balanced, their inflammation is going down, energy levels are going up. But the reason there's these practices is maybe we're too high and it brings us a little bit lower. Maybe we're too low and it brings us a bit higher. So that need for balance is an essential part of the human experience.
Yeah.
So it's great to have an understanding of lots of practices. Like you said, there's infinite number of practices. But I think when we start to get to the point where we start to realize, oh, I don't need to do everything all the time because it's making me anxious to do all these things because I feel I'm not doing it because of all of these other reasons. It's trying to find the balance. So it's trying to find the rest and the movement. It's trying to find the calm, and we need the chaos. It's trying to find, loads of good sleep, but also, being awake and enjoying life as well, and not being. So it's all. So I think in the core of, say, yoga, in the core of just name a practice, at the core of it is balance. But it takes us somewhat. Sometimes we have to go all the way over this way, and then we realize we have to go all the way the other way. Like I drink. Let's say the person wants to drink cacao every single day, and they're kind of regimental, and then it's too much, and they don't drink cacao for ages, and then they come back to the middle, which is like maybe when I feel I need it,
Yeah.
that's when I
It's a
drink it.
tool.
It's a tool.
Yeah. And that was like, it's really refreshing to hear that, because I would be, and I say there's a lot of people out there, and you probably see this yourself, when you're in the wellness industry or you're a practitioner, or you just like doing those practices as well. It's like I feel guilty in that I'm like, if I haven't meditated and done breath work today, I feel like I am not that person. So, but then it's learning that like we're human. So would you be
Yeah.
doing breath work every day and meditation, or would you have days where you're like, no, something's going on today, or, you know what I mean? You nearly feel like, oh my God, I'm a lie because I haven't done it today. But life does, like these things can happen in days.
I think over time we come to a point where we realize what are the essential things that we need to do to feel human, to feel like we can deal with life, to feel that we're open and hopefully feeling good. Not all the time, but, bringing us back to that if we want it. And understanding that for some people, that practice might be making sure they see their friends every day. That community part of it. Now, for me, I have 3 practices that are like that, the things that are essential to me being able to
Your
deal with
core.
the pressures. They're like 3 blessings is what I like to think about them. One is breathing, so breath work. And that's just something I have to do every day. For me to deal with the pressures of my life, that's something I feel I have to do. Meditation is the second one. So maybe not every day, but definitely a part of it. And then the cold is the third one. But again, with the cold, like we were saying, we can become quite regimental. And the cold is such a strong force that we need over time to learn to use it when we need it. So I wouldn't do those 3. I mightn't do the cold in like an ice bath every day. I might some days feel I need way more breathing and no cold. But somewhere in there, the breath work for me is the thing that is essential. I can't go, like, I will find the time no matter what to do some in the morning. And that for me, if that was the only practice, grand. But if there's more time then to do the other 2, brilliant. But it's not a case of where before years ago, I would have been way more regimental, like I have to be in the ice bath every day. But I think with most practices, the more we really understand them, the more we realize as well that there's a time and a place.
Yeah, and understand the why. Like, what do you need today?
Exactly.
Where I think a lot of us, like, and come here, we're humans as well. Like, I would journal every day, and I do breath work, and I drink cacao most days. But then I might wake up saying, I'm just going to have a few breaths and I need a walk today.
Yes.
I need a walk. I need to get out into nature. What do you need instead of what you should be doing?
Yeah.
I think a lot of us can get caught up in as well, because obviously if we don't do our routine, like the day might not go accordingly to plan, or you feel, but sometimes it's nearly feeling into your needs, not you want.
Yeah, and it's listening to our bodies.
A lot of us, do you think a lot of us don't?
I think it's a hard and very subtle skill to really get good at listening to our bodies, because when we're growing up, we're definitely not listening to our bodies. Our bodies are new. We become teenagers, they're changing all of a sudden. Then we're young adults and we're probably pushing things a little bit too far because we're trying to explore life. And I think practices like, say, breath work or yoga or whatever it is, starts to help us feel our bodies a little bit more. And then after a while, we can listen to our bodies. But there's often, I think, this conflict. Like you're saying, we might listen to our bodies, might say, look, I'm feeling tired today. Maybe I lie down and do a little bit of breathing and have a rest. But then some part of the mind is like, yeah, but you have to do this. So I think it's a subtle skill to listen to the body and to also recognize, look, I recognize these things will be done, but first I need to have a little rest. Because oftentimes my nature would have been to push from sports.
Oh, story of my life.
Yeah. So like for a long time, I would have listened to the body. Oh, you need a rest. Not happening. We have to do these things. And then I suppose by trial and error, you push too much. Your body says, I'm forcing you to take a break. Maybe you become like the balance we talked about. You go too far one way and you go maybe too far another way. And then you find where the balance might be.
Yeah.
But that takes a long time. Like I'm nearly 50 now. So like,
Look Great.
That's
Got the
taken
skin routine.
breathing.
It's the cold.
Yeah. But that has taken me a long time. There was many, many years of pushing too far and then running myself into the ground.
Yeah, and I definitely can resonate with that because I'd say a few years ago, I went all in on doing the coaching courses, reading all the books, doing the podcast, going to therapy. Then there was a time I slipped off a bit. It was COVID. We were having a few more drinks, sitting in, doing quizzes. Then went through another breakup. But then I came back a little bit more and I was like, ooh, that's balanced now. So I would do, my morning routine. I used to be addicted to high intense training, going to bike row ski, going to the gym. Allergic now. Yeah. I'm yoga the last 2-3 years. I'm just about like light weights, going for walks, getting out into nature, going for sea swims, lowering it down, slowing it. And like what you said, I would have been all an external source being go, 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 go. Where now I come back and I go, how do I feel today? What do I want to do? I know I should go to the gym, but do I feel maybe a walk and yoga might be better? Yeah, but do I actually need to just meditate first and then see how I am? Yeah. You're curious about what you need and questioning what you really need.
I think that comes with experience.
I'm hyper aware, hyper aware of my own self. But it's because I've learned not only through practicing with yourself and other practices, I've learned to trust myself. I've learned to.
And that takes a while sometimes. We have to kind of, life can be very difficult and it can push us in lots of different directions. And kind of coming back to the place where you trust your judgment, can take a while for people. Yeah. For everyone.
Oh, big time. So then drilling down into what you have created over the last 20 something years, starting when you first started with breathwork as well, because breathwork is trendy now.
I know.
It is so hip, and it's so funny. I've bumped into so many people through like my workshops or doing things. They were like, I'm doing my breathwork teacher training. I was like, who are you doing with Breathe with Neil? I was like, girl, so did I. And like a few people I'd still talk to and message online from doing your teacher training as well. And we're like, it's not a cult, but it's a lovely community that you've created. So going back to the start, when you first started going into breathwork, how did this all start when you were like, right?
Yeah, many years ago, after I kind of came out of basketball and started exploring, being a very, very physical person, wanting to train, martial arts was the next big step for me. Because martial arts has this underpinning of breathing, meditation, philosophy to it. So as part of that, Josie and I, we met in work, and I used to do a lot of traditional Chinese martial arts, like Kung Fu, for example. And there's a temple in China called the Shaolin Temple, probably the world's most famous kind of martial arts place. They're all Buddhist monks, but they learned centuries ago to fight to kind of protect themselves from bandits and keep themselves healthy, etc. So the abbot of Shaolin Temple sent one of their best monks to London to set up a temple in London. And I remember, this is kind of, the internet wasn't very big. I remember looking through one of those men's magazines, and there was a picture of Shifu Yanzi is his name, this monk from the temple in China in London. And I said to Josie, I'm going to have to move to London. She was like, I love London, so let's go. So we moved to London.
Just to stalk him.
And we moved up. So I used to go train with Shifu Yanzi all the time. Like we moved right beside the temple. You were like
the
London.
Karate Kid.
Now this is before mixed martial arts was really a big
like
thing.
Jiu-jitsu and all that.
Before all that kind of came global.
MMA, yeah.
And so when I was training with Shifu Yanzi, and then another monk there, Shifu Yanli, a huge part of martial arts is breathing. Even jiu-jitsu is breathing. And so we'd be training really hard in Tufnell Park in London. And like winters, like today in London, are like wet. We'll be running up this big cement ramp, doing all this really high intensity training. And then Shifu Yanzi would stop us. And we do what is like the long, slow exhales, like vagus nerve breathing from your training. And we do it with hand movements as well. And after about a minute or two of that, our bodies felt calm and restored from this really intense training. And then we'd start training again. And I remember thinking to myself, having spent a long time training, many years before that, I should be tired now and I should be fading now. But because we stopped and we were doing this breathing, we're able to continue on. And that was for me the moment when it was like, okay, the breathing is hugely important. So they taught me how to breathe, meditate and breathe. They taught me how to use internal martial arts, like Qigong is an internal martial art, to use breathing and movement to heal the internal organs in the body. And that for me was the beginning. I just felt, God, I really need to really understand this. So I learned then it was a natural step to go into yoga. And then yoga has this whole world of pranayama breathing. And then that just led down to other ways of breathing, into Wim Hof breathing, into other ways of breathing. But the kind of moment where I thought to myself, what's this magic superpower we have, was on that big ramp, this cement ramp in Tufnell Park in the rain.
How old were you?
Mid-20s, maybe. Mid-20s.
You're like the Dalai Lama over there having all these downloads.
But it again, going back to like when I was on the basketball court, sometimes we have to prove it to ourselves to really believe it. I knew they meditated and I knew they did that, but until I felt, God, I feel great in the midst of this training.
It was the feeling.
It was the feeling. And it was the lashing rain usually, and they'd have us running up Hampstead Heath. Like amazing. You'd see the whole of London, we'd run back down, but it was all focused on the breathing.
Yeah.
And I had done like international training for years and years and years, and there wasn't one moment that we concentrated on our breathing. And now that I look back, like if we're breathing through our nose more than through our mouth, that hugely affects our performance. So like we were performing as best we could while breathing through our mouth the whole time, like for Ireland, breathing through our mouth the whole time, and our performance and our recovery, everything would have been improved if we just knew one tiny thing about breathing.
Yeah.
So when I was training with the monks, I was kind of looking back in my former basketball career thinking, God damn it, I wish I knew something at that stage. And that, I suppose, that reviewing it, seeing where the lack was, probably somewhere in my mind was showing me where the path was as well.
I think that's the third book for you now, Training with the Monks. I'm telling you.
Well, the third book is already nearly written in my mind. Yeah. It might be the fourth book.
Okay.
Might be the fourth
I think,
book.
yeah, because you have a lovely little story and flow of like all different things. But going to the breathwork teacher, as in when you started training people, how many years ago was that? And, even starting off, how many people were there compared to now? Where now it's like mega.
So for years, people would say to me, where did you learn how to do all your breath work? And the answer was in lots of places, with the monks, with Wim Hof, with other people. And so they'd say, where can I learn to be a breathwork teacher? And there's a great breathwork teacher in the Netherlands called Casper van der Meulen, and he was one of my teachers along the way. And I would send people from Dublin. I'd recommend going to the Netherlands, to Casper. Then after a while, I was like, after enough time, people asked me enough times, I was like, maybe I should start teaching them how to do it. So if we start the Blissful Breath Academy, probably just maybe 6 months before you started it.
You're joking.
So we
I thought that was going years.
2023. It was probably a year before that I really started to kind of.
But were you doing one-to-ones? Or
I was doing lots of teaching and loads of like
on the beach.
Yeah, loads. So like teaching breath work all the time.
Okay.
And to massive crowds, to small crowds.
And retreats.
Big corporate gigs, to, the Dublin football team, the Kerry football team, to Olympians. I had all this. It was, my whole life was teaching breath work. But I hadn't thought about turning and teaching people what I had learned. So there was probably a year of thinking, okay, myself and Josie had to figure out firstly, which is the most important thing. You said about the why earlier on. We needed a clear intention. What was it all about? Because really for me, understanding no matter what we're doing, why we're doing it gives us that direction. So So that takes a while to be really clear about what you want.
Yeah.
So for us, it was about better breathing for everyone. So we wanted to be like your training, we wanted to be able to teach people to help children with their breathing, help older people,
We'll get into
like
that.
your granny, help Olympians, help people who were pregnant, everyone along the spectrum, because lots of ways of breathing are good for this small number of people, but not good for these people. So we wanted to be able to teach people how to teach people so they could stand in a room and you could have old people, pregnant people everywhere along the way, and you could teach them safely to feel better through their breathing.
And that's one thing I loved, that when I was in the teacher training, you used to say, you were like, it's catered to everyone, because everyone they breathe every day. So whether you're pregnant, you're old, there's different types of breathing, but we all need to breathe.
Yeah.
And I was only saying off air as well, I got a bit teary-eyed talking to yourself about it when I was doing my teacher training. So Neil used to give us homework every single week. And it would be like, okay, this week I want you to do a recording for 2 minutes. And then the next week do another recording. And we'd have to send it in to you and get corrected on our homework. But I think it was the last one where we had to have a person, a human, sit in front of us, and we had to teach them, I think it was like 6 or 7 minutes of breath work, and bring them into it, hold it, and then bring them back out. And my nana was my little protege. So I remember 3 years ago, I said, Nana, can I do? And I had the recording and I sent it in to you. Because I thought, my mom and dad can do it. My sisters can do it. My friends. I was like, I really want to test the water here on an older point, because my nana would have suffered with anxiety, but she never knew what it was.
Yep.
She used to be like, I just don't feel right. And I was like, you don't feel right because you have to go outside. And that's your nerves because you don't feel safe. And that's why your breath is getting like that. And she was like, you just know what to say. And you just know how to describe everything I'm feeling. And I was like, yeah, because I understand myself and I'm able to say it to you. But when I had her there doing the breath, and I think I still have the recording, and she would have been quite anxious. And she would have used to always say to me, Emma, you just need to breathe.
Yeah.
Before I even did your course. So when she did that, I was like, now drop your shoulders, relax your jaw. Now sigh and soak into the chair. This is my meditation voice, guys. Come to my workshops and events.
I highly recommend.
So I just was like setting the tone. And then when she came out, I remember going, that was lovely. I felt like I had a little nap. Oh, and I sent it to you and you were like,
like that was probably one of my favorite memories of all the years teaching.
Really?
Because that's what we do it for. So when the child is overcome with worrying about something, being able to help the child feel safe again. Yeah. When the older person who doesn't have the language, because Josie's mom had died maybe the year before, and she wasn't like that, was an older woman, and life becomes quite difficult sometimes for older people. Their worlds become quite small and they become quite fearful.
As well.
Yeah, and doing some breathing. We used to call her Gaga with Gaga. That's why when you sent me the video, they remind me so much of it, and that's why we do it. Yeah. So we can help that older person who's coming towards the last part of their life, and life can become difficult, to help them feel safe and calm.
I know.
And for the child, but also for the Olympian who's about to go and compete, and they're also feeling the pressure of every ounce of experience they've had. They're questioning as they go out there. So how can we help them all? And it's these universal ways of breathing that we teach. And so for Josie and I, it was people like your granny and people like some of the children we had helped in the schools. That was our direction.
That was your anchor and your why.
That was it. So a woman comes in, she's pregnant. I wanted to be able to teach other people to help her to breathe in ways that help her and the baby. So that was, once we had that clear in our minds, at the very top of the experience was better breathing for everyone. That's what we're after. Then it wasn't a simple process, but it all flowed together because we knew exactly where we were going. And so that I was able to look back at all my experience and say, this way of breathing is the one that people need to know. This one, and how do we teach it? And then it became, the more I examined my experience of like years and years and years of doing it, the more I saw that, okay, like there's these guiding principles that underline the whole experience. So like the importance of the why. Why are we teaching these people? You know, that gives us clear direction. The importance of our own internal state. How do we change our own internal state to a place that we can turn and help people? Because people feel it, you know, and the importance of our own practice, and, you know, and all these kind of very clear things emerge from my years and years of experience, and that became then what we teach people.
And that's huge, because I remember I bring your teachings into, I'd say, my daily life. So I would suffer with anxiety, like I said, or if I just need to breathe, or if I'm feeling like, if I'm on the way to like teach something or a podcast, I literally just, I'm like, in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold. Literally 1 minute. Everyone has time to do it. But I remember a few weeks ago, I was hiking up. I think I was in the Hellfire Club, and it was during Christmas time. It was raining. There was not many people around. I was like, I'm going to take myself for a hike by myself. I love doing that.
Lovely.
So I done that. Now I was in grand form, and I started hiking. Out of nowhere, this anxiety comes up through my stomach. Then I could feel my heart beating. Then it went up into my throat. I was like, I'm about to have an anxiety attack. This came out of nowhere. The old Emma came in, just keep going. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. I went, stop, pause, come back into your body. Breathe in deeply, belly, ribs, chest. And literally just done that for 2 minutes. And I cited off the, affirmations, not even in a way. I just said, you're safe. You're fine. Come back into your body. We're here now. So like your best friend would, or your mom and dad. And about 2 to 5 minutes later, came out of it.
That's the beauty of the practice.
Yeah.
And like you said there, also the beauty of experience.
Yeah.
Where before, say,
I'd have a panic attack and get overwhelmed, cry.
Yeah. And you would have maybe pushed through it to a point where, and that's where we were talking about, like sometimes we push too far and we realize we have to come back. But being able to pause and just breathe. And life is full of difficult moments, you know, and so anybody listening or watching this, we all have this superpower in us, which is the breath. And the breath reflects how we feel. So in those moments, you could feel the anxiety and panic.
The deeper breaths.
If we were to press pause on that moment and look at your breathing would have reflected that shallow, like, but you were able to unpause and use your breathing, then change your breathing, and that changed how you felt.
Yeah.
So there's this amazing relationship between how we feel and how we breathe. So if we're breathing calmly and softly, that's how we feel. If we're breathing in a really ragged, panicked way, that's also how we feel. But the power we have is that in any moment, if we just know a little bit about it, in any moment we can pause for a fleeting moment and change how we're breathing and take control of how we're feeling then. And so we can all do that.
Yeah.
We just need a little bit of experience, or just a little bit of knowledge or understanding. And even listening to this and even kind of thinking to myself, oh my God, I can change my breathing and then change how I feel. That might be enough understanding.
That's all.
To remember in the next time that, and we all feel it, that tightness, you know, whatever it might be in the body, the feeling of the body moving into fight or flight. Even if we just bring our attention to our breath, we don't even have to know a way of breathing. By bringing our attention to our breath, that slows the heart rate, that softens the body, that brings us down.
I always say, bring your attention to the intention.
Yeah.
So even just being like, I'm just here, because I would have racing thoughts. I would be an overthinker, but I'm starting to like balance it out. So I'd go sleep at night, and sometimes my brain, and even before I did your teacher training, I would be like, just focus on your breath. Just listen to the flow going in and out, you know, like an open loop. And then honestly, that does like bring me to sleep, because I'm just focusing and I'm just like not thinking of anything else.
So that's how the Shaolin monks taught me how to meditate.
Oh, really?
As simple as that. We used to come into before we trained, come in, Shifu Yanzi would just come in and sit down, and he just close his eyes. and we just all sit down.
So,
And because the way they trained, like it's totally different to the West.
okay.
You have to show them you're committed before they will teach you anything. So we'd sit down, like for maybe a year, I sat down meditating with Shifu Yanzi, but I was sitting there just closing my eyes going, what am I meant to be doing? He was we had to mimic, you know, but then eventually after you got used to it, they'd say, just bring your attention to your breathing. That's it.
Mm.
And we were like, oh, that's what we're meant to be doing for the last year sitting here.
Note to self.
Note to self. But it sounds simple, but of course it's very difficult because the mind jumps and runs, and that's fine. But like you're describing there, even in a moment of high stress or distress, bringing our attention to our breathing, even for a moment or two, changes everything.
100%. And I definitely think, especially over the years, have you found, you know, with how many people have you taught now over the last 3 years?
So I think we have 340 teachers
Amazing.
in 11 countries.
And have you noticed, you know, with the likes of social media, I think after COVID, it's gotten so much faster than anything. And then with a lot of, you know, like there's ADHD, there's OCD, everyone, like, you know, there's a lot of things there. And then when the breath comes in, have you ever felt like people would be like, oh, sure, what would that do to me? Like, you know, or they'd be there doing the teacher training or even doing one-to-ones or retreats. And they'd be like, I don't even know why I'm here. What are you going to do for me?
So I think yes is the answer. The biggest thing people say to me is, I already breathe all the time.
Yeah.
You know, why do I need to learn to breathe? Which is fine. We do, you know, we do. The breath, I think, is this huge mystery. It's such a mystery that we completely overlook it because we breathe all the time.
I'm about to yawn now.
Yeah, because we're getting relaxed. But people do say that, you know, like there's a few things people need. Sometimes they need to think that the thing that will help them has to be complex and it has to be difficult. So some of the ways we teach of breathing are so simple but highly effective. So a person might be doing the breathing and it's just a long exhale and it's nearly too simple for some people. If they're quite tight and their mind's kind of knotted up and they're feeling that kind of levels of stress, it's nearly like they also need something that reflects that to help them. But really, they just need a very simple breath to help them.
Or even letting out a sigh. Like, the power of a sigh and a yawn.
Which is the simplest of breaths. You know, it's the body, again, like the shaking. If we watch athletes before they go to perform, it's natural for the athlete to be jumping and shaking, releasing the tension.
Yeah.
It's also natural in us, something exasperating happens, we go, so the body knows all of these ways of breathing. It's in our teacher training, we just try to bring our awareness to it and say, look, the sigh, we do it all the time. Let's just take it out and use it as a little bit of a practice. But we know how to do this stuff already.
Yeah.
Like our house at the moment is full of teenagers going, oh my God.
Is that a sigh or a huff?
A bit of both. But it's the teenager's body trying to release the frustration.
I was about to say that, yeah.
So, and I was watching our girls play GAA and they were training, it was really cold and I was watching them from the car and they were all dancing around and jumping around. And even dancing is a way of releasing tension.
Yeah, and it's so funny you even say that because I know that's one thing I loved to do when I was younger, was dance. And then, you know, when you get a little bit older, that's why I love going to festivals.
Yeah.
You're so free, you can walk around, you can have a dance, you can sit in the woods. I always find a gorgeous tree to lay under. Like, you have a mixture of all that. And I know now, listening to my body, what I need. A lot of people think that you have to be so in the wellness world, just like do yoga, go on walks, where now I'm learning to find that balance. Like, I'm going to see Deep Dish on Friday.
Oh, amazing.
And like have a dance, like,
Absolutely.
you know, get it, like flow, have the crack. But then that's a form of like release and excitement and fun. Do you know that way as well?
There are so many similarities between, say, what we're trying to do. Yeah, we're trying to release a little bit of tension so we feel brighter and lighter. And the old rave culture. You know, now obviously there was loads of drugs involved and that's fine. But also it was communal gatherings. it was dancing, it was like uplifting music. There was so many, even on the beaches, like so many people come to the Full Moon Healing Circle on the beach, which is this big free
When's
monthly
that? Is that
gathering.
next week? The week after?
Next week. That's every single month. But so many people come up to me afterwards and say, this is like the old raving days. Like
Yeah.
people say to me, I used to be on this beach
Yeah.
like 20 years ago.
drinking.
Yeah. And dancing away.
Excuse me, underage drinking. Sorry about that.
But it's the same thing. It's coming together. It's like going and like listening to great music and dancing. Our bodies want that as well. They want the movement, they want the music, they want the communal experience. And whether that is at the Full Moon Healing Circle, or whether that is at an old school rave or whatever it is, there's a reason these things have survived over the entire span of human civilization. It's because we need them.
Yeah. And I think for years, like I was at a place where I felt I had to just keep on doing this, and this, where you need to express. Like I remember, and when I went to, clubbing, or when I went out years ago, then you go deep into like the healing and the feeling, where when I done my yoga teacher training in Bali, you had to do a static dance. And I was like, thought of being seen. Right. But then I really start over the last few years, I've learned to slow down. I'm really in my feminine side as well. And you want to express and you want to move and you don't care to be seen. You want to take up space. You want to receive. And that is confidence as well. And then you can dip into your masculine like we all can. But I found that so healing.
Yeah.
I found that like you have to shove yourself in and just have the fear of being seen.
Yeah.
And that's nearly like what my next point I'm going to talk about. When you do, because I've done breath work sessions, you can go through stuff when you're in those circles.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What have you seen that is very common for people when you go to, let's say, a group setting and you go into a breath work session with you? What's the most common thing you'd see for people?
Well, I think people come in and they're quite burdened. People are under pressure in all types of ways. So even the idea of slowing down, and that's why we do the shaking and stuff at the start, to try and help them go from, oh my God, these thoughts, these things to do. And we come in and help them do these kind of preparation exercises that let's go some of that tension in the body. And then even lying down and just taking a rest can be very emotional for people. And in our sessions, I'm often saying to people in between the rounds of breathing, just rest now. Just rest. And so many adults come up to me and say that made them very emotional, because as adults, we're so responsible for things. And we very rarely have another adult say to you, like, just rest now. Yeah. And it kind of gives us permission to let go. So even the very subtle things of slowing down and resting can be hugely emotional for people. And then, of course, once these very simple ways of breathing start working on the body, as we start using the lungs to move in different ways, the lungs are sending signals up into the brain, mostly to tell them you're safe now. That can be hugely emotional for people. And then as we continue to breathe with people, there's a point in the breathing that we call going beyond the threshold. So let's say 30 minutes into breathing. At that point, people they're beginning to really let go and soften. And there's a point beyond the threshold, which kind of means that the nervous system stops resisting and holding on. And it finally just lets go. And the person can experience things like, it's like they're dreaming, but they're awake. It's like they're really relaxed, but there's an alertness there as well. And it's a place where they can have experiences of great meaning, insight, and great healing.
Great, yeah.
Because they've gone beyond just the normal. It could be a struggle to that point. The
They've
body's
surpassed
fidgeting.
the threshold.
They've gone beyond. So they're not fighting it. The body's not like, oh, I'm like, it's like they go to this place where it's very restful and very still. And that can be very emotional for people as well.
Mm.
Now, someone might come to a breathing session and feel none of that,
Mm-hmm.
and just be like, oh yeah, I feel a bit calmer, and that's fine.
Mm.
Every time we do our breathing, it's very different.
Mm-hmm.
But there can be great moments. Like I've had huge revelations and huge insights from breathing, just from breathing. People often sit up, and we try and get people to maybe turn to the people beside them and share a little bit of the experience,
Yeah.
because we can make sense of it when we share it a little bit, and it also gives them a sense of the other people around them.
And connection and community. They're not alone. That's why I loved it as well. It's you're saying, Jesus, I don't feel a bit left out. Oh, how was your experience? Oh my God, I felt that too.
Yeah.
You're getting curious again about things.
And like you were saying at the beginning, it's the integration.
Yeah.
So, when Josie and I do events, we nearly always start off, and people are, especially nowadays, are like, oh my God, I have to turn and talk to these people I don't know. But we know from years and years of experience that if they just turn and talk to the person, they'll get them know, they'll share a little bit of what they want. And then it's different.
Yeah.
Then it's different. Like Josie and I are always waiting. So let's say we have a cacao and breathwork session or whatever it might be. We always say now, just turn to little groups of 3, and the volume in the room starts to go up, the decibel level, as people start to talk and talk and laugh and talk and laugh. And then we know, there's a point at which we know people are back to themselves and they've integrated the experience to a point, and then they're ready to go back out into the world.
Yeah.
And our intention is always that they leave just a little bit lighter.
Yeah. And talking about breathwork, right, experiences, so I've done a couple of sessions in breathwork, and this would have been, I done one session before I did your teacher training, and I remember going in, I was only after going through a breakup, and I always was like, I feel I need a release, there's something going on. So I went into the session, there was a few of us there, and obviously at the start, like I'd be accustomed, like I'd know what it is, you were shaking, you were like having a sharing circle, and then you went into the breathing. So at the start, you want to resist and you're like, fuck this, right? So then you have to slow down. But I remember about 40, 50 minutes in, my whole body, I remember I started to shake, okay? Then I remember, like I was conscious I was here, but my body was doing all the work. So then at the time, my shoulders and my back started to arch like that. And I just was like trying to let go things. And at the time I was doing it with Pat Divley.
Yeah.
And he'd come over and he'd be like, it's okay. Your body's letting go. It's coming up. Just go with it. Just go with it. So we can't, like obviously it's about that safety, because you don't want to shut your body off to let go. So from that then I got emotional. I was crying, and there was a lot of other people crying as well. Some people, but it was very calm. Like it wasn't like, oh my God, your one's over there crying. You have to create that safe space. So after that, for a few days, I did feel really funny. But I knew why. I was after having this release. I didn't know what it was, but I just had to be kind to myself. So then fast forward a few years, I think it was about a year or 2 later, I did your breathwork teacher training. So then about a year later, I was like, right, I feel I'm ready for another session. It just came to me. I was like, I'm ready for a bit of relaxation, go in. Done another session. Went back in, and same setting as well. And after that, say everyone was getting asked questions. How did you find it? How did you find it? Like what came up? God, it was very hard. I was like, I feel energized. And he was like, really? I said, yeah. I was like, I just feel really calm. I feel really in control of my body. I feel like I'm after having a charger in my body. And I was like I've done the work, like this is happening. Now, don't get me wrong. There's going to be times you might go back to that place.
Yeah.
But I was so proud of myself in that moment, because I did surrender. But the benefits of the last few years and the integration that came up of like, you're here.
Yeah.
Because I trusted myself.
Yeah. And every time we do breathing, it's different.
Mm.
So you were a different person lying down to do the breathing that you were previously. And so your experience is totally different.
I was terrified.
Yeah. And and you said something very important there. We have to really trust the person guiding.
Yeah,
So that's why we do a lot of work with our teachers on creating that safe feeling, that
100%.
welcoming feeling for
Which you
people.
are, guys. He is 100%. I will sign that for you.
Because even lying down can be a vulnerable position for people. Closing your eyes can be a vulnerable position for people. So and breathing, as you described, can bring up lots of different things for people. So, feeling that trust and safety is of massive importance.
Yeah, no, it is huge as well. Like, because even for me, I think when it comes to that as well, and when you're creating a space and you're feeling exposed, you feel like you have to unmask.
Mm.
And even when you do like your sessions and even the academy, I love that when I walked in, there was all ages, there was men, there was women, there was people just doing it for themselves. There was people doing it because they were a yoga teacher. There was people doing it because they just wanted to. And I actually really love that. I think that's why the wellness industry is changing. They're not necessarily doing it to be like, I want to be a breathwork teacher. They're like, I'm just curious about this and I don't know where it's going. That's why I did it.
And that is one of the biggest things that we learned, is that really there's two huge insights from teaching so many people. One is, and this is why we do it, the majority of people want to do it firstly for themselves. So they get great benefit about, all the weeks of work and all that. They feel so much better. And if they turn and share it with somebody, that's amazing. But, firstly, it's for ourselves. And then they can use it to get better at what they do already. So to take it and to make it their own. So if you're a secondary school teacher, how can your breathwork teacher training make you a better secondary school teacher or a better yoga teacher or a better therapist or a better parent, whatever it might be? No one, there's no pressure for people to become you are now have to become a professional breathwork teacher. It's for ourselves first.
Yeah.
And then make it our own. And like you were saying earlier, you're describing the beautiful healing circles that you have and the way you've integrated into what you already have. And I think that's the thing that people get most value out of it, is that they take this skill, which is a universal skill. Every human can benefit from some calm breathing, and then just bring it into your life in whatever way works for you.
Yeah. And I think that's a big thing, is making things your own, like what you did, where you took your teachings from, the monks, and then you went to Wim Hof, and then you went to something else and you're like, okay, me and Josie are going to see how can we explore this. So you were curious about it, but I want to touch on about the cold, right? Like, I thought you were batshit crazy, right? So basically, for context, I feel like I need to insert a clip here. Neil loves to go hiking topless in Poland in the ice. And he actually does this with people and people love it. And I'm like, he is an absolute head case. But why do you do this, and why do you find this is getting so much bigger, and why are you obsessed with the cold?
So the cold is inevitable, especially in this part of the world. So we can live our life frightened of the cold and fearful of the cold and be like, oh, fuck, it's cold again today. Or we can take the cold and we can learn to use it as a force for good in our life. So as we start to learn to use the cold, and the cold is a breathing practice, because when we get in the cold, our breath is gone. So in order to get all the amazing benefits, so like a little bit of cold, it reduces inflammation in the body. And that can happen for nearly 6 days. So 6 days, inflammation is going down in the body in some cases. It reduces pain. It gives us more energy. It gives us our immune boost. There are endless benefits, scientifically proven benefits. But the biggest thing is it teaches us how to breathe. Because when we're in the cold, we have to find our long, slow exhale. We have to bring our breathing back to somewhere calm. Now, we can be in the cold, and I teach people this a lot. They're in an ice bath and they're focusing on their breath, and they're able to focus on their breath and remain calm. It doesn't mean it's warm in there, but it means we learn to breathe under the extreme pressure. Then when they get out of the ice bath and another metaphorical ice bath happens, they go to work and it's not a real ice bath, but some difficult conversation comes crashing into their life. They can use the breath in the same way that they use it in the cold to deal with this pressure. So if we take that a little bit further, we go on these amazing winter adventures in Poland. Now, Poland, like now, is so unbelievably cold. The cold there.
What is that over there when you're hiking up that
So
mountain?
like the last time I went up the mountain, it was maybe -4 or 5 at the bottom.
Right.
But this mountain, Mount Śnieżka, and forgive me, any Polish people who hear me pronouncing it because I never get it right, it's the windiest mountain in Europe. So at the top, it might be 60 or 70 kilometer winds. So the top can feel like -20.
Get windburn.
The last time so there's two ways of doing it. Mostly I'm the guide, so I have to kind of cover up because my role is bring people safely up there. But when I go up there myself, the last time I was up there, the wind was so
I saw
cold.
you. I was like, look.
It was like somebody tattooing my arms. So people are saying, why are you doing that? So the reason we do it is that each one of us, you, me, anyone watching or listening, we're actually built to survive harsh conditions. We've evolved over millions of years that we can sit in this beautiful podcast studio. We can enjoy hot tea. We can wear lovely clothes. But beneath that, our bodies are built to survive harsh conditions. So for our bodies and our minds and our breath really to be functioning in a place where they feel really good for us, we need a little bit of harshness in our life. And that's where the cold... Discomfort. So the best way to do that is to enjoy your beautiful hot shower and then turn it to cold. And that is discomfort and learning to breathe in the discomfort. So we learn how to be comfortable in the discomfort. So when we face Mount Śnieżka, and now people have gone through the training, they've worked with me, when we get to the mountain, and the mountain has this really kind of strange effect. Even thinking about going to the mountain changes people. So when people come with us to the mountain, like they've been working for maybe 6 months before that, but even the thought of going up the mountain, they start doing their breath work, they start getting in the cold, it starts to change them. And when we're at the bottom of the mountain and they start to strip off, the whole reason we do it, the intention, is to remind ourselves how powerful we are.
Love that.
The person starts to walk up the first part of Śnieżka. Śnieżka is like a giant.
How many hours is it?
It's 2.5 hours.
Right.
Śnieżka is like a giant. So the first part, you're like walking up here. It's really steep. The second part is like you get to the top and it's a plateau about 2 kilometers, like the shoulder. And then the last bit is the summit, like the head. The whole time you're trying to focus on your breathing. So when you feel the cold and it might be snowing and the wind's picking up, it's like this mega meditation. Most of it is done in silence. There's no talking.
Yeah, no.
And you just move into this place where you can listen to your breath. Now, when the mind runs away, but the cold forces you to stay on it, because the minute your mind comes off the breath, you start to feel cold because our focus is broken. So it kind of pushes your mind onto the breath. And in those 2.5 hours as you go up, imagine a meditation that's being forced on you by the cold. There's no escape from it. So you and your mind are going on this deep kind of experience. So for me, the last time I went up by myself, with a mountain guide, obviously, this idea kept coming into my head, this question: who are you? How do you want to live? Who are you? How do you want to live? So it brings you to these really deep places.
Yeah.
And you come down off the mountain. And some people might only do the mountain once in their lifetime, and that's enough. But they're changed forever because they have proven to themselves that they can do this thing that most people think it's impossible. But, in science, they talk about having to replicate the result. I have brought so many people up there. I've seen it happen so many times that we can replicate the result. You give me a person, I can take them through the training. We'll get them to the top of the mountain and the result will be the same. They will have proven to themselves that they are powerful. Then they come down off the mountain and whatever used to be fearful, they were fearful of doing this, whatever it might be, they're not as afraid.
You've nearly regardless of the breath, you've literally hacked their belief system and their mindset because they've anchored it to their breath, which is going to change their whole cognitive and internal world.
And that's exactly what it does.
Biohacking.
You
With
never,
Neil.
yeah, you never come off the mountain the same person.
Have you ever had anyone going, fuck this?
Now, by the time people have got to the mountain, you know, anybody
I don't
who
see a
didn't
lot
want
of
to do
women
it-
though.
Oh, we have a good few women as
They're
well
not doing
doing
it
it.
topless now.
No, they
have
wear
to
like-
wear a little crop top.
People can wear whatever they like. We have one rule: you have to wear something.
Yeah.
But they wear it like a bikini top,
Yeah.
whatever it might be. But again, and this is the thing about the cold that people really misunderstand. The cold is not about forcing. It's not about pushing through. Like we talked, it's not about pushing through. The cold is about gentleness. The cold is about kindness. So there's no pressure on anyone. You know, they can walk up in a fur coat if they want to. It's their practice.
Okay.
So if people want to wear clothes or not wear clothes, you know, totally fine. Or
Yeah.
if they want to put something on, it's totally up to them. I'm just offering them the opportunity that if they want to feel this, I will guide them up there to feel it. Now it's a huge experience for people. And as I said, it's not something that you want to like come back down and go, oh, I'm going to do it again. It's not like that. The first time I did it was 2017. First time I went up in shorts and without any top on. And even to this day, I think of it. Even though I've done it since then, the lessons you learn on the mountain are so deep that you learn from them perhaps for the rest of your life. I'll tell you when I'm older if that's the case.
But do you ever do that meditation about the mountain is you?
No.
Oh my God, I must send it to you.
Do, please.
I done this when I done my mindfulness teacher training, right? And it's all about, it's around a 20-minute meditation, but it's all about how you become the mountain. And instead of thinking, oh my God, I need to hike this mountain, look at it, it's so big, you become that mountain and it's overcoming it because you have to overcome your mind. You have to be the mountain. Do I move? Do I sit still? Like there's so many things. I have to send it to you.
Please send that to me.
Yeah.
Because that's the feeling of it.
Mm-hmm.
The mountain is this giant icy mountain in Poland, grand, but it's actually the internal mountain that you're climbing.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be different.
Yeah.
So for everyone, it's a different thing that they're battling with.
Yeah.
But they climb the physical mountain, and then the internal mountains are much easier.
Yeah, big time. And then, you know, the way cold plunging as well. There's a lot of stuff coming out about cold plunging regarding women. That it's saying, you know, obviously because of our hormones, like what would you recommend? Or do you still think, no, go for what your body is? What do you think?
All of these practices are totally individual and it's the person's practice. And it goes back to exactly what we were talking earlier about listening to your body.
Yeah.
So our understanding of the cold has become more sophisticated in the last 5 or 6 years. And it proves things that we already know to be true. It proves that women feel cold more than men. And we all know that. You know, how many arguments have people had, some, not stereotype, but often it's true. The man says, I want to open the window. The woman says, I want to close the window. Not always true, but we now know that women have more cold receptors in their body, so they feel it more. We also know true that at different points in the cycle, it doesn't make any sense to be in the cold.
Like when I have my period, I'm like, I am not cold plunging.
Yeah.
Like you can actually go away where, let's say your ovulation, you're like, I'm ready to take on the world.
Exactly. So we know that by instinct, we know that by common sense, and we know that by listening to our bodies. And finally, the science as usual is like 20 years behind that. So now we know from a scientific point of view why that is the case. But we know that already.
We
know that. So absolutely, men and women are different in many ways, and the cold is one of those ways. Yeah. So listening to your body, listen to where you are in your cycle, all that is hugely important for the cold.
Yeah, because men are different.
But even for men, it's like, listen to your body. There'll be times in your week or your day where your body needs it, but there'll be times when it's not the right thing as well. And to be kind enough, but also confident enough to your own judgment to say, yeah, not for me today. Even if someone else is getting in, it's like, it doesn't feel right for me today. and knowing that you can walk away from it. And when it feels right, you come back to it.
Yeah. Showing compassion.
Go show
Yeah.
compassion.
I actually have a little tagline for you. I always use it in my workshops, events, or one-to-ones. I feel like you're going to use it. That's why it keeps on going over in my head. I know you're going to love it. So you know the way loads of people say, fake it until you make it.
Yeah.
When it comes to the cold and your breath, you need to face it and embrace it.
Well, that's it. Love it.
I knew you're going to use it.
Get the t-shirts ready. Face it and embrace it.
No, but that's
It's the
what I
truth.
do, because even I know I was terrified of the cold, but around COVID time, a lot of people did seek to the outdoors and nature,
Yeah.
which is fabulous. And I used to go sea swimming, and I still do. I do a cold plunge even in the winter. I just get out. But the old me would have went like this, where now I do yoga on the beach and I teach, and we go swimming after, and we all jump into the sea and we hold hands, and I'm like,
Beautiful.
just breathe and come back. And then I say, I want you to take an inhale for 1, 2, 3. And then on 4, we're going to go slowly down, and you have to cover your shoulders. Then after that, you are free. And then all of them, I'd be like, hold hands, we're together, we're one. And when you inhale, then they go in, they go, and then they go, ah.
Yeah.
But they actually are in control. And I used to do that. I was terrified of getting into the sea. I remember I went to the Vico baths last year. I think it was January. My mum thought I was a head case. She was like, Emma, it's 5 degrees and you're going to the Vico baths. And I was like, it's the perfect time.
It is.
Because there's no one around.
Yeah.
There's only the locals. You get in for a dip and then you come out and you're like, I can take on the world.
And that's exactly it. So when I started teaching people about the cold, it was very much like way over here on the fringes. Now I feel the cold belongs to everyone. Like the way, that's an amazing experience for people to go into the cold together and to experience it together. Because ultimately, I think one of the kind of important elements of the cold is togetherness.
Unified.
Yeah.
Unity, yeah.
So like even a person who mightn't be very talkative goes to the 40-footer Vico or Putmarnock or whatever it might be. I see it all the time. They get in, they get out, and they're talking to the people beside them. They feel elated. They feel amazing from it.
Yeah. And I think, do you think as well the difference, we just want to feel connection.
And like on a very kind of abstract philosophical way, I feel getting into the sea is like a return to the beginning. Because
I always say that. Pretend you're being christened again.
yeah. And in lots of ways, because like billions of years ago, we would have originally crawled out of the sea as little kind of amphibian creatures and evolved eventually into humans. It's, you know, the water is cleansing. The water is a return. You know, it's are we going back to the womb? Are we coming back out? There's so many ways in which we can look at it. But the feeling, what proves it to us is how people feel. Like you're saying, they hold hands and they go down, and when they come up, they are so alive.
Yeah, I think it's as well because I'm a Cancerian, I'm a water sign. I'm like mermaid.
Yeah.
Where people are like, Emma, are you ready to come out? I'm like Ariel.
I'm staying in here.
I love it though. I'm like, I am one with nature. I'm obsessed.
But think about, we sometimes as humans forget that we are part of nature. It's sometimes
100%.
like we are here and nature is over there, and I go into nature.
Yeah.
We are animals. We are part of nature.
Yeah.
And when we're in the sea, we are completely enveloped by nature.
Yeah.
We're finally plugged back into it. Like when we go in a forest or a hike.
When I go hiking, because I do hiking groups as well, I'm like, right, everyone hug trees, feel the heartbeat of the tree.
Yeah.
Where years ago I'd be like, you're a weirdo. Where now I'm like, I'm what?
Yeah. Like, so the no matter what a person's view is, getting into the sea, you are in nature. You are becoming nature. You are returning to your nature. So that's why I think nowadays it's so brilliant for society and for humans and for everyone that you go to the swimming spots and they're full of people.
Yeah.
Getting into the cold, and there's saunas everywhere and there's cold plunges everywhere. Now we need the both. We need the heat and the cold. But it's just, for me, having been on the fringes for so long, to see now that this is like, it's normal now to people say to you, I'm going down to like for a dip. And it's like, that's normal. Where beforehand, like your mom's reaction, it would have been like, people used to say to me,
are you okay?
Crazy getting into the cold.
And you know what's crazy, right? I remember my mom told me, my great granddad So Johnny was his name. God, he would have passed away when I was about 8 or 9, so 30 years ago. So he was well in his 70s or 80s, and he lived in Finglas. He cycled down to Dollymount every day. Hail, rain, snow.
Unreal.
He went in that sea, and he just died of old age.
Yeah.
And I honestly think it's the sea, like that, and he never got a cold. His immune system. So back then, I would have been like, he is an absolute head. But you can really see the difference because, oh my God, you're going to love this story before we wrap up. So I always go to the sea. I like to go there when I have time. But if I'm going through a bit of a time where I'm like, I need to let go of something, I need to cleanse, I just need to go there for a reason. So during the summer, I went down to Portmarnock, that's my local beach, went for a swim. I was by myself and I seen all these like elderly people there. And I went over, I was like, hey, I says, would you just mind my bag there? I'm going to go for a dip. Went in, came back, and I sat down and I was like, what's your name? His name was Danny. He's 83. He only lived up the road. Started telling me, he said, we have our own little group here of all retirees. We're called Sink or Swim. Right? I said, will you add me into the group? So I was there for about an hour talking to him. He's trying to set me up with his friend who's about 50.
The young fella's 50.
He was a who. And he said, I found swimming when my wife died during COVID. And I only live up the road and she never liked the sea. So I never got in. But now I come down here at 11 o'clock every single day the past 4 or 5 years, and I meet the gang and I go swimming every single day. And it's what keeps me going. So I started to chat to him. I says, oh, would you believe my nana only passed away there 2 months ago, and this is my little haven. And I said, my mum actually gave me a little robin on a card. Someone gave it to her, and it was like, when a robin is here, loved ones are near. I showed him the little card and he says, hang on. Opened his phone, took out the exact same card. I said, oh, Danny, right? So that was that. I started chatting to him and he's like, I'll meet you again. I've met him twice since. I text him saying, Danny, I'm going down for a swim. See you there. And I sit there with him. And the age of him, it's like we both met each other, even though he lives alone. And like, I just love old people as well. But even from that, he'd be like sending me God bless, Happy New Year and all, like little messages here and there. And I remember that day, I just felt so energized, and I went back to my apartment and I seen butterflies. I seen a robin then in the tree. I was like, this is mad. All these little signs and synchronicities and synergies when we were talking about surrendering, trusting. This is another podcast. But how that togetherness and that connection brought me together with Danny. I must actually text him. But because of the sea. Yeah. Because of the cold, because of letting go of the fear and wanting just togetherness and connection and unity. It's fabulous.
And like, that's what life is about.
Yeah.
We were saying earlier about how sometimes the common ground we have with people, maybe different generations, it kind of disappears a little bit. But there at the sea, there was your sacred common ground. Yeah. The experience of getting in and how it changes us, and people want that togetherness. And like, that's unique. There's very few other experiences that we have going to the shops or going to the cafe, or whatever it might be, that can do that. Yeah. It's totally unique. Yeah. Like, where else could you become friends with an older person like that and have this shared experience and like continue to do? There's other ways you can do it, but it's such a deep experience getting into the cold. And like when you were describing, was it your uncle who cycled from Finglas?
My great-granddad.
Great-granddad. Like, all the science shows us now that the cold is probably the best thing you can do for your immune system when you're not forcing it. Like, your great-granddad, firstly, cycling and moving and having the purpose every day he wants to go there and getting in there, coming back. It's no wonder, he lived until it was just the end. Yeah. The level of kind of health and resistance and resilience to everything would be so high. It's like we were saying, we're built for harsh conditions. We don't want them all the time. So that's what the mountain is. The mountain gives them this burst of like 2.5 hours that they'll never forget. But we don't need to do that all the time.
No.
But he could cycle there every day, and it was like this harsh little experience because he probably some days wasn't kind of up for cycling, gets in the sea, feels amazing, cycles home, and his body is like back in balance
Your
again.
anchor.
It's your anchor.
I know. So to finish off, I feel we could be chatting here
Oh,
forever.
we could.
I know. Get another cup of tea. So for people like starting off with themselves, they're overwhelmed, they're anxious. I don't have time. I don't know what to do. What do you know about this and that? Where would they start? Like for listeners now that feel they want to bring, whether it's breath work or calmness into their life, because we have moms on here, dads, carers, workers. I don't have time for that. What would you say to them?
So I have created something specifically for them.
Mm-hmm.
So if they go to the homepage of Breathe with Niall, breathewith.niall.com, there's a 10 days of breathing challenge. All they do is put their email in, and for 10 days, every morning, I'll send them a 10-minute breathing session of me guiding them through the breathing. So all they have to do is click the link, listen to it, and I'll guide them through 10 minutes of breathing. And for 10 days, I send you a different one every single day. And at the end of 10 days, you will feel hopefully much calmer, much softer in the body, much more open. Your health might be a little bit better. And you will have those 10 recordings forever. So what I felt for years was that for someone like that to start, it's very difficult to start something new. And it has to be so easy. So I've made this as easy as possible. You put your email address in. You don't have to do anything. I just email you.
Free.
It's free. You just open the email, click it. I'll guide you through 10 minutes. Forget about it then. The next day, another one arrives. And for 10 days, you have those 10 minutes each day, even if you only do a minute or two of it.
Yeah.
And after 10 days, you start to feel different enough that you might think, God, I might go back to do like on the 11th day, I might do it again. And maybe the 12th day, so it becomes a habit then. But those 10 sessions are for the person to keep. They're free, totally free, as easy as it can get. Everyone has time to press a button.
Amazing. And where can people find you and what other events are on so they can follow you and tag along?
Yeah, so you can find me, Breathe with Niall, on Instagram, wherever you socialize online, and breathewithniall.com as well. And all our events are there. The Blissful Breath Academy and all the information is there. The Breathe with Niall podcast is online as well. So loads of ways to find me.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on and for being part of my journey, because you've helped me so much, and I'd say you're going to help so many more.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you.